I'm Molly Henneberg in Washington. We begin with a Fox News alert. A stunning turn of events in the Casey Anthony trial. A full day of testimony was on tap for today. Instead, the trial is on hold until Monday. Things were just getting underway in the courtroom when Judge Belvin Perry abruptly recessed the trial, saying a legal issue had arisen that both sides needed time to deal with. There was no testimony today, and the jury never entered the courtroom. Casey Anthony is charged with murdering her 2-year-old daughter, Kaylee. Our Phil Keating is live outside the courthouse in Orlando. Phil, what is going on with this recess?
Well, we don't know the details because the judge has this issue sealed from public consumption. Justice and jury deliberations delayed by yet one more day. This was supposed to be a full and lengthy day of Saturday courtroom testimony, as the defense now would have been on its 8th day attacking the state's circumstantial case. But there was nothing happening in court at 9 a.m. There was no judge in there. The attorneys were with the judge meeting in an adjacent room, while in all of the seats in the packed courtroom, you had all of the spectators who wait every day in a long line to get in there for this hot ticket, as well as members of the media. But then suddenly around 9:30, the court stenographer entered, followed by Judge Belvin Perry, who did not talk long.
As both sides concur that a legal issue has arisen unrelated to the issue that we talked about first thing this morning, dealing with Dr. Furden, that would necessitate us recessing for today.
So that's it. No explanation by Judge Perry. Simply a legal issue has arisen, which had nothing to do with the morning's discussion regarding discovery violations allegedly by the defense team or the prosecution team. Now, the defense out in the hallway this morning, they had 12 witnesses all lined up, prepared to testify on a busy and extra long day, including the crime scene investigator who examined the trunk of Casey Anthony's car, within which he says he found one hair from Kaylee Anthony, which prosecutors say came from a dead person, as well as a stain in that trunk that prosecutors and their witnesses have testified was decompositional fluid. So the defense was clearly going to be spending the Saturday morning attacking the evidence that the state has presented, or the lack thereof, in their opinion, in a very circumstantial case. Kaylee Anthony died 3 years ago this month, either due to her mother, Casey, drugging her with chloroform and then suffocating her with duct tape, or, if you believe the defense's claim, which they unveiled during opening statements, that little Kaylee died accidentally by sneaking out of the house into the backyard swimming pool, climbing a ladder that was supposed to be detached but was still up, and then accidentally drowned, to be then found by George Anthony, her grandfather and the father of the defendant. Of course, there's been no evidence whatsoever entered so far as to that scenario. But yesterday, the jury did finally hear the testimony to get to lead counselor Jose Baez's opening statement, which suggested the drowning scenario. They showed Cindy Anthony on the stand, little pictures of Kaylee swimming in the pool, and Cindy Anthony testified that she thinks around the time Kaylee went missing, she thought that ladder was still attached. So theoretically, little Kaylee could have climbed up.
All right, Phil Keating, I guess we'll have to wait a little bit longer to see what jurors have to think about all this. Thank you very much for that report live from Orlando. Casey Anthony's attorneys are in the middle of putting on their defense. Their strategy has baffled a lot of people watching the trial. Let's bring on our legal panel for their thoughts. Kelly Saindon is a litigation attorney in Chicago and a former prosecutor. And Joseph DiBenedetto is a criminal defense attorney in New York. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Let's get right to this legal matter that came up today. What would cause the judge to call an abrupt recess like this? Kelly, we'll start with you.
Could be anything. It could be motions from the one side or the other. It could be something to do with what a witness is going to say. So you'd make a proffer of evidence and the other side's objecting, saying they're being sandbagged, they didn't know. It could be any legal issue about something that is newly discovered. It could be, hey, we're really pushing the line here, and before we anger you, because remember, this judge has been pretty angry at both sides with some stuff that they've done. So it could have been them letting him know and him saying, let me look at it and think about it and tell you what you can and can't introduce to the jury.
Joseph, the jury is sequestered, so will we ever know what all this is about, or is this going to be under seal for the rest of the trial?
This will be under seal. I'm getting the impression that this is something very, very big For the judge, a judge who's done everything to mainstream this trial, to keep the jurors informed, to try to have sessions on a Saturday, to now abruptly stop, clearly tells me that this is either bombshell testimony or, the flip side, plea negotiations.
Oh, so interesting. And it was an emotional day of testimony yesterday. First, Casey Anthony's mother takes the stand yet again. Then her brother Lee cries on the stand. Lee Anthony recalled how he did not go to the hospital for Kaylee's birth and said he was angry that no one in the family would discuss Casey's pregnancy with him. Let's listen to a little bit of that testimony.
I was very angry at my mom, and I was also angry at my sister. I mean, I was just angry at everyone in general that they didn't want to include me, and didn't find it important enough to tell me.
So, Joseph, what's the point that the defense is trying to make with that kind of testimony? Where are they going with this?
It's very, very curious. I think this is a witness they could have done without, but I see what they're trying to do. What they're trying to do is to show that the Anthony family is somewhat secretive, that not everybody is in tune with what's going on, and so it sort of tries to connect the dots with regards to the dad covering up and not telling anybody anything about it.
Kelly, is it important that the defense has a narrative, a story to tell? Is that what jurors want to hear? Or are they okay with the defense just sort of poking holes here and there or raising questions in the jury's mind?
Well, honestly, in most cases, the defense does not set out an event line. They don't tell you what happened. In this case, it's very different because they've almost shifted the burden where now the jury wants that story. But I really think this is about mitigation. It's about trying to avoid the death penalty. It's about trying to avoid murder one. So I think the jury wants to hear this story. They actually want Casey to take the stand. And so in this case, generally you just give a general, hey, the prosecution didn't do their job. In this case, they're doing both. Hey, this is wrong, this is circumstantial, they can't prove anything, and oh, by the way, here's a theory that's at least as plausible as theirs, so here's your reasonable doubt. That's what he's trying to do.
Joseph, I love asking this question of defense attorneys, but will Casey Anthony take the stand in her own defense?
In my opinion, she has to. She absolutely has to, for two reasons. One, even though an acquittal is a long shot here, that's the only way she'll get one. And two, she'll be testifying to save her own life. That is the bottom line. We need to see the tears. We need to see emotion. We need to see whether or not she's credible.
Kelly, as a former prosecutor or a prosecutor, would you salivate if a defendant like Casey Anthony got on the stand?
Are you kidding me? I would be like, put her up there, and I can't wait because I have so many questions. This is a girl who started out by taking the authorities to Universal and said, hey, work here. Oh, that's a lie. Hey, I'm out getting the beautiful life tattooed. And so even if you want to believe her story that her child drowned and she was worried she was going to get in trouble, no telltale signs, no withdrawal, no problem, and they would open the door and allow me to go right after her, I would love it.
Kelly Saindon, Joseph DiBenedetto, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for coming on with us today. And stick around a little later in the show. We'll get our legal experts' take on the jury and how their impatience could factor into this trial.